Welcome to The Voiceover with your host, D. Foster III, where we discuss relevant topics that affect the culture with bold, independent commentary. Get ready to be inspired, enlightened, and encouraged.
The Voiceover Net Podcast. I'm your host, D. Foster III. Come on, you know the spiel before we get started. Like, share, subscribe, follow. I want you to put a link of this in your contacts. We got some things we're going to talk about. Hope you had a great Memorial Day weekend. Hope you enjoyed yourself. It's been raining all over the East Coast, but that's okay. The sun is coming out after a while. Listen, before we get started with the content, and I've got some content, there's going to be different content for you today. This is personal. You know, most of the times I say what I'm saying is not personal, but y'all, I got to confess, I got to do a disclaimer in the beginning. This topic today is very personal. But before we get started, go to our website if you want to know more about us. That's www.wakeupglobalnetworks.com, www.wakeupglobalnetworks.com. Follow us on all of our social media platforms. Make sure you follow me on my IG and X. That's DJ Change 111. DJ Change 111. I want to say welcome to all of our new followers. Listen, I encourage you, if you want more information about becoming a member of our Patreon, we give bonuses, we give in-depth teaching, we talk about stuff. I'm on a series, I'm talking about sinners, and we doing a deep dive. The link or the information of that is in the content, in the link below, or you can get it from our website if you are interested. I think it's well worth your time. It's well worth your investment because we do deep dives into subjects that we cannot touch on Facebook or YouTube or Instagram. I want to say thank you for April J and this wonderful platform for giving us a voice, WPBMediaNetworks.com. Her and her mother, Pastor Maple Hall. Actually, we want to say a shout out to them and a shout out to our whole family, our whole crew. Have you been a part of the Voice of Hope Connection every Sunday at 7 a.m., the live upload? If not, you can get it right here on WPBMediaNetworks.com. It's just a word of encouragement to get you through the week. To help you get through the week. I am excited. Let me see, anything else? No, anything else, go to the website. You know, I don't believe in holding you long, but I am going to make it strong. You can follow us on our Spreaker app where we give updates, etc., 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 etc. Now, as I said, today's subject is kind of personal. And when I was thinking about what I was going to call today's subject, I thought about this. Now, it's not fancy. It's not, something prolific. But it does express the sentiments of what I want to talk about, what I want to dialogue about. And that is when regression looks like progression. Now, I know that sounds like a Baptist sermon, don't it? I know, but it ain't nowhere near it. But that's the best thing. That's the best thing I could come up with to describe the topic that is dear and near to my heart. Now, why is this topic, share this. And I could immense this topic when, oh God, when you look like progress is disguised under regress, when regression looks like progression, that could fit a lot of things. That could fit a lot of organizations. That could fit a lot of our civil rights organizations. That could fit a lot of our faith institutions. That could fit a lot of our leaders. But today, I have a stake in this. I have a horse in this race. I'm a native of Washington, D.C. Most of my living relatives reside in Washington, D.C. I attended college in Washington, D.C. I have a affinity for Washington. And if you haven't notice that all of my gear is Washington, D.C. I am a Washington blood wash, born again, son of the nation's capital. I grew up for the earlier years of my life in Washington, D.C. So I thought I was capable and qualified to discuss, to me, my personal opinion, this disgusting topic of the possibility of, and I know you may say this is petty, but I'm always going somewhere, of the Washington Commanders moving back into a deserted, crime-ridden, needing reconstructive housing, need to go to crowded Barrows Road to get there. JFK Stadium. Now, this may not interest you, but it's personal to me. And the larger picture is why I gave it the theme, because so many times progress is really regress disguised in moving forward. Now, I've got several reasons that I want to talk about this, and I'm not going to hold you long. I want you to think. I don't tell you what to think. I don't tell you how to think. I just want to make sure you're thinking, because the narrative is being pushed. The Commanders need to be back into D.C. The Commanders need to be back into D.C. But let me give you a little history and why I am adamantly opposed and think it will be one of the biggest mistakes, because at the end of the day, I am going to tie in my theory of why they want the Commanders back in DC, and it has nothing to do directly with the Commanders. Yes, it is profit over people, but it is also something else that I will tie in just a few minutes. Come on, stay clued. It's Friday. It's Friday. Get you a strong island. We're going to talk about it. We're going to deal with it. Thank you for being a part. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. Hit the notification. Hit the likes. Push this up. See, podcasts like this, we get swallowed up in the algorithms. We get swallowed up in the redactatory, from last week, the redactatory content. But as you come on and you continue to push the like, it lets the algorithms know you want more content like this. Now, let's get into it real quick. As you know, up until 1997, or you might not know, that's why you tuned into the Voice Over Net podcast, that the Washington Redskins resided in the Raggedy JFK Stadium on the outskirts. It was still in the city, but it was on the outskirts because it was just a few minutes from the BW Parkway, or what I call the BW Parkway, Barrows Road, that 295 that goes through Southeast. One of the most crime-ridden areas in DC, even until today, right off of the Anacostia River. It was bad. Now, I went to several events at the JFK with my dad when I was younger. And what I remember, now I'm not saying it's limited to this, what I remember was bad parking, bad neighborhood, a lot of traffic jams, and an old decrepit stadium. I know they're going to build one. I know, but let me get to it. Let me build my case. Let me tell my story. And so in 1997, I believe it was, the Redskins, which is now AKA the Commanders, which they are thinking about going back. One thing I can say about Washington in the footnote is Washington faces a lot of nostalgia. Washington always wants to remember when it was great. They want the Redskins because back then it was the Redskins in the Pittsburgh. They used to be in the playoffs. They used to be in the Super Bowl. I mean, the Redskins was the team. And then something happened. And then they changed the name during the George Floyd era when they were changing highways. And now they are the Commanders. And people just don't know how to say the Commanders. Washington has, like a lot of people, like a lot of churches, like a lot of traditions, a lot of nostalgia. And I believe a part, and I'm jumping ahead of myself, a part of want to go back is nostalgia, thinking that if we go back to the stadium, we're going to go visit our heyday, and it ain't happening. Times are different, people are different. I'm gonna tell you why. Just follow me. I told you I'm going somewhere. When regression seems like progression. And so all of a sudden, they moved to Largo, Landover. Now, the thing I liked about Landover is it was easy access. They need to take a page out of the Ravens. They need to take a page out of the Orioles. See, at one time, the Baltimore Orioles Stadium was on 33rd Street in Baltimore in the Alameda. It was in a residential neighborhood. I went to plenty of Oriole games also. But the Orioles got a brilliant idea, and this is going to tie into my theory toward the end, that a certain group of people are not going to ride through crime-ridden Baltimore to come to an Oriole game. So let's develop a stadium right off of the main highway where they ain't got to go through drug markets and experience possible carjackings and holdups. They can get right on the highway and turn right into the stadium and turn right out of the stadium and turn right back on the highway and head back to New York, Philadelphia, Virginia, or Washington. Wise decision. This is almost like saying the Orioles should go back into Memorial Stadium on 33rd Street. Somebody would say, whatever you smoking, give me some. That's what it sounds like. So in 1997, the Redskins relocated to Landover. Big, beautiful stadium. Right off of 495. Easy access. If you were coming from Baltimore, if you were coming from Virginia, if you were coming from over the bridge, if you were coming from Annapolis, easy access in Landover. Yes, easy access. Great restaurants surrounded it. I believe Magic Johnson had a restaurant there. Great soul food restaurant. No, he had a theater. I think it's still there, if anybody will go now. But anyway, great food, soul food. Kimmy's was there. I mean, you wanted to shop. There was a mall near there. Great idea. Move the team, still Washington's team, but on the outskirts. Make it available, make it convenient so that people coming from near and far don't have to ride through Southeast, don't have to ride through Barrows Road, don't have to ride through crime-ridden drug markets areas of DC to get to finally the bumpy JFK Stadium. You got a subway running right down the middle of the road. It's just anyway. So it was great. And it was there when they changed ownership. I want you to follow me. And they changed management. Now, meanwhile, back at the ranch, JFK Stadium never got developed from 1997 until this very moment I am speaking. Now, I went out there several years ago. They would use the property to have concerts, dirt, weeds growing up. City never kept it up. As a matter of fact, I was just reading something where under the Biden administration, they just, I believe, sold or gave the property to DC. What a dilapidated gift. Yeah, under the Biden administration. So, Washingtonians, nostalgia, remembering the past, remembering the good old days, remembering when the Redskins was the team, came up with a bright idea. Hey, let's spend $3.7 billion, right? Tear this stadium down, build a dome-like, which I personally, this is just personal, I don't like dome-like stadiums. If I'm watching football, I want to be outside, feel the weather. Baseball, I want to see them hit the ball over the fence, out into the, but that's just me. Basketball, inside, yeah, of course. But anyway, let's build this dome-like stadium. Let's develop the land and put some, I'm going to read it for you. I'm going to read it for you. The Washington Commanders are planning to build a new domed stadium on the site of the former RFK Stadium. This project is part of a larger plan. I totally agree. And I'm going to get to that. To redevelop the area, including housing. Now notice, it doesn't say affordable housing. See, traditionally, and I can speak this because I'm a native, DC has been what we call Chocolate City. It's been inhabited by Black people, African Americans, and until recently, middle class, African Americans, hardworking Americans. But over the last 10 years, I went back to Howard to an event and I was shocked because, when I attended Howard, it was mostly, again, African Americans. It was mostly Blacks. When I went back several years ago, I saw Koreans. I'm not saying anything wrong with it. I'm talking about how the dynamics of DC has intentionally changed. I'm going somewhere. I may do part 2 in this because I don't know if I'm going to get to my whole point because I got to build, as you know, I got to build the story. So somebody comes up with a bright idea and it says, and I continue to read, it says, and this is produced by AI. So, but I know this is true. And it's also confirmed in other peer articles also. It says, this project is part of a larger plan to redevelop the area, including housing. It did not say affordable housing, retail space, green space, a major entertainment venue. The stadium is expected to be complete in time for the 2030 NFL season. Now, with this article, let me try to read it from another article so that we can confirm the DC, the secret DC. Let's read it right from DC. When and where will the new Commander Stadium open? The Commander's future stadium in the district will be on the same location as their previous home, on the site of RFK Stadium. While RFK Stadium just began its demolition in January of this year, although it was originally meant to be demolished years ago, demolition is expected to be complete by the end of 2026. Per the deal, the new Commander Stadium is expected to complete it in time for the 2030 NFL season, a quick timeline which has allegedly sparked some concerns among DC Council. Number one, who is paying for the stadium? The majority of the new stadium's $4 billion price tag will be covered by Washington Commanders themselves, paying roughly 63% of the cost and around $2.5 billion. The remainder of the stadium's cost would fall to Washington, D.C. taxpayer funds, over $1 billion over the next 5 years when Washington, D.C. is rid and affordable housing exists no more. Even if you go into Southeast affordable new housing. They tore down affordable housing or the projects that needed to be tore down, but they resurrected, built houses that most people in DC cannot afford. And this is getting to my point. This is bigger. This is bigger than a stadium. It's bigger than redevelopment, but it's what's happening in every single city that Black people have inhabited, and that's called regentification. It's happened in Baltimore, and it's done by African American leaders. I said it, and I won't take it back, because Mayor Bowser is the main push for this. Is the main push for this. Like Brandon Scott in Baltimore was the main push for redevelopment of Harbor East, which did not include most Black contractors, and most Black people cannot afford to live there. What is going on? Huh? I told you I'm going somewhere with this. I am going somewhere with this. This project is genocide. It is, what's the word I want to use? Because I want to be careful, because I'm on YouTube. It is natively cutting out the people who identify born and bred. Let me give you a good example, and I can prove it. That's why I said this is personal, and I can talk about this with knowledge. So I have a relative who lived in DC in one of the most affluent neighborhoods off of 16th Street, Upper 16th Street, near Critterton Street. If you know anything about that area, it is one of the most influential areas in DC. Now, take it. Times change. The dollar decreases. I get all of that. The long story short, her row house, I know New York is worse. I feel you, but I'm talking about DC now, and I'm linking it to this project. Her row house, I think it's 3 bed, 1 bath. They put in an extra bath. I think she said when they bought it, it was less than 40 grand. A couple of years ago, it sold for over $500,000, a row house on a street where there's no parking. And the cry concerning DC is people want to come there and work, especially younger people, but they cannot afford the housing. And they ain't lying. I have cousins that are realtors in DC. I watched the reconstruction of Georgia Avenue near Howard University because my grandfather's church was about 10 blocks from there. And I remember when you couldn't walk through there. I'm not without getting potentially robbed. I'm not fighting the redevelopment, but I'm fighting and I'm talking against what happens during the redevelopment. And that is something that is very prominent, called regentification, that the people who used to live there when it was the ghetto, and when you fix it up, they can no longer afford. And it's happening in every city. It's happened in Baltimore. While you singing Mary all your praises, we're being pushed out of a city, out of homes that people work hard for things like water bills, tax bills, and pushing people into the surrounding counties. I'm not forgot JFK. I still am talking about it, but I told you there was a bigger picture. And push it, because JFK is right in the middle of DC. It's in a bad neighborhood. Let me just say it. It's in a bad neighborhood. Now, to me, if you didn't have profit over people or regentification on your mind, you would use that property, clear it up, develop a consortment of houses, some higher houses, some lower priced houses, some medium houses, build you a good school because we partnered with the school across the street that needs a ton of work. See, this is community. This is leadership. But when you put business people in office, this is what you get. Now, let me finish. Oh, you know what? I think I'm going to do a part 2. I'm going to give you a chance to do some of your own research. But I told you, this is close to my heart. Not only the location, the geographical location, but the issue. And there are not a lot of people speaking over the issue. Everybody's right. Yeah, we need a new stadium. We need a new stadium. Okay, we need a new stadium. Right. We need a new stadium. But we need affordable housing. What's more important? Oh, I know. Feeding into corporate America. Especially, this don't make sense to me for DC. When you don't have a real tax base, you don't get real federal funding, and you to spend, what was that amount? Because I don't want, over $1 billion? When you got people that were just laid off? What about creating jobs, Mayor? Oh, I know that's a whole different story. I told you. We coming in a different way today. Because this still has to be dealt with. And why everybody saying, I want a new stadium, that's all they want, a new stadium, because you're in nostalgia. You want to recreate. They even talking about going back to the Redskins. It ain't happening. New team, new day, new management. Hopefully they will overwhelm the past, erase the past. That's one thing we got to get out of, nostalgia, trying to recreate the past. Everybody is trying, especially in this time of change and shift. All I see is people doing stuff to try to recreate who they used to be. You gone, you ain't never coming back. Find out who God made you to be today, period. Like this, share this, subscribe. When regression looks like progression. I'm going to get more into this. Now, everybody is not in agreement with building this because there are a lot of concerns that DC has, including the escalating crime rate. They have become the new Baltimore, especially at the, wait a minute, that's the other piece. You want to develop this property on the back side of the Anacostia River, but on the front side where the Navy Yard is, every weekend, it's crime time in the Navy Yard. Every weekend, there are reports of robbery and thieves at the brand new Navy Yard. And yet on the other side, see, somebody, make it make sense. My big brother, Coach Butcher McAdams, say life is hard, but it's harder when you're stupid. It's harder when you're stupid. All right, I'm going to check out for now. I'm not finished. This project was my segue into a bigger problem in this country that very few people, some are addressing. Very few people. And we're pushing the masses further and further into counties, into suburbs. While there is and I saw this happening several years ago, a claiming to get back the inner cities for corporate America, not for the well-being of most citizens, because most working Americans can't afford the average house in a redeveloped city like Baltimore, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., and I could go on and forget New York. But there's a bigger plan to this. And I think there should be an outcry. They just built a hospital across the river. Do you know what it took to build that hospital? Do you know how they had to fight to build a daggone hospital? Because the last one was I wouldn't send my dog there. I was there with Bishop Hudson maybe 8 years ago. I was like, they send people here? And they finally, and they bragged about it. We'll do the same thing with the schools. You can have your stadium, but let's put first things first. People over politics. People over profits. First things first. Then you can build your stadium. Give people affordable, decent houses to live in. I didn't say give them the house. Give them affordable, decent houses. Clean up the crime other than uptown. Clean up Southeast. You can do it. All right, listen, like, subscribe, share. Part 1, part 2 is coming. Get ready. When regression looks like progression. This is not the crux of my subject. This was the runway. I got a bigger issue. I got a bigger fish to fry. We're going to chop it up. Share this, like it. Don't forget Sunday morning, the Voice of Hope Connection, right here. Follow us on our website, www.wakeupglobalnetworks.com, on our TikTok, all of our social media. That information is at the screen. And if you feel at all generous, please, we are Wake Up Global Networks. We are about a good work, and we are a tax-deductible organization. The code is on the screen, or you can Zelle or PayPal to wakeup, WAKEUP03@gmail.com. No gift is too small. I want to say thank you. Like, share, follow. Remember this. You have a voice. You have a voice.
Thank you for being a part of The Voiceover. Please follow us on all of our social media platforms to stay connected to our upcoming shows and guests. Instagram at The Voiceover Radio. Twitter at DPropheticI. That's the letter D, prophetic, EYE. If this show has enriched you in any way, please share The Voiceover among your circle. Until next time, keep allowing your voice to be heard.